Can we have a moment of silence, please? Roll call, Corinne?
Counselor Chamberlain?
Here.
Counselor Heising?
Here.
Counselor Schneider?
Here.
Counselor Stickley?
Here.
Counselor Tiarina?
Here.
Council President Steers?
Here.
We have 6 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the meeting's minutes from September 18th and Committee of the Whole from September 28th. Can we get a movement on those minutes, please?
I'd make that motion, Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion to approve the prior meeting minutes moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Counselor Heising. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have 5 individuals wishing to address council. 2 weeks ago at the council meeting on the 18th, that also included our public hearing where the people from the Elm Street property were able to come up and express how they feel about that agenda. So with this being the council's meeting, we have 5 people on the agenda that wish to speak. So with that, I am going to try to limit 5 minutes for each speaker, which is 20 minutes within the meeting, which is fair considering the fact that we have to, we want to give everybody the chance to be able to speak, but with the hearing 2 weeks ago, that is where a lot of you were able to express how you feel, and that was not limited to the time frames. So today we will do that. Couple seconds over whatever is fine, but that is the one thing that I'd like to express. And the other thing is to the members who are out in the audience, out in the chamber. I apologize for not being here to be able to hear your concerns because I was coming back from Cleveland Clinic and wasn't able to make it. That meeting, that appointment was set ahead of time before this meeting was. So I apologize to all of you for that. So now, moving on, we have the 5 individuals. We're going to go in order. We do have the TV for agenda and the picture. The first one on the agenda wishing to address council is going to be Rory Strugalski, Street Zoning. All I ask is when you come up, just state your name, who you are, and then you can,
Okay.
even though I said.
Just right here, is that fine?
Just so you can address everybody.
So, hello everyone, my name is Dr. Rory Strugalski, and thank you for giving me the time to address you guys today. I really appreciate it. I've known the providers at Rebel Chiropractic for about the past 4 years. My wife and one of my sons are patients at their Waterville office. And over that time, over the past 4 years, I've come to know them, first on a professional level as, providers of chiropractic care, but also on a personal level as somebody that you come into contact with at the beginning of treatment almost on like a weekly basis, talking to them about their family, about medicine, things like that. So I know them pretty well, both, professionally and personally. I really believe in the care that they are providing to their patients. And in the context of this meeting, I think even more about their commitment to giving back to the community. As a local business owner myself, I'm very excited about their projected proposal. I think the drawings that were submitted, the architectural designs are beautiful. I think it'll take an area of just kind of grass and railroad tracks and turn it into something that like the community can be proud of. And then as a business owner who has a business on Elm Street, I'm excited about the potential for bringing more foot traffic to the downtown area, more people walking past my storefront, the potential for more exposure for all of us local business owners down there, to get more exposure for our business and more foot traffic. And I really can't say enough, like I said, about their giving back to the community. They're great people, and I think would be a great addition to the city of Wauseon. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for us? Next on the agenda, we have Sandra Barber.
My name is Sandy Barber. Mayor and members of council, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to express our opinions on a matter that is before this council. We are fortunate in this country to have this ability to come before an elected body and speak publicly about issues that are important to the citizens of this city. I have lived in my home for 49 years. It is well over 100 years old. My husband and I worked very hard to restore it, and we even removed 11 layers of wallpaper in the living room. We restored all existing rooms, plus we added 2 bedrooms and a bath. We raised 3 children, and they all attended Elm Street School. Having been in this neighborhood all these years, I had the opportunity to see a number of the old homes on Elm, Oak, and North Franklin Street be restored. I have enjoyed seeing the time and effort of the homeowners putting in and maintaining the historic significance of their homes in our neighborhood. They just do not build homes like this anymore. It would be terribly disappointing if anything changed that historic look. Changing the zoning to allow a Quonset hut type building on Elm Street property for a business is simply incomprehensible. It does not fit in with our surroundings, and I believe the value of our homes would decline if in fact that happened. I welcome change and encourage new business, but the city has a number of properties in the business district, as I have been told, such as the one on Shoup, like the old drive-in property, and I know there are others. I personally have talked with a number of homeowners in our neighborhood on Elm, Marshall, North Franklin, and Shoup, and I did not find one person that supports this zoning change. This evening we come to you to humbly ask that you do not change the zoning and that you honor the feelings of the citizens of this community. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right." Thank you.
Any questions for Sandy? No? Okay, thank you. All right. Next, we have Bob Crum.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to make some comments on this proposal. Your time is valuable. It will be short. I'll be brief. For the record, my name is Bob Crum. I'm a 28-year resident at 226 North Franklin Street. In the crowd here today, I see neighbors who have lived in their homes for 30, even 40 plus years. First, I got some good news. It's all not bad. If this project is approved, the historic downtown Wauseon will have an additional attraction, a World War II style Quonset hut. Seriously, most of us in attendance appreciate the council's desire to see the former Elm Street School site, which has been vacant now for about 13 years, put to good use. But is the proposal for a 2-story Quonset hut or a zoning change from R3 to B4 the best solution for the area? The Victorian era homes that line the north side of East Elm Street are historical, well-maintained, picturesque. A commercial development across from them, adjacent to homes along Shoup Avenue and others in the neighborhood, will undoubtedly hurt property values. Sort of a rhetorical question, and I know that there are several here who actually might like this design. How many of you would like to see something like this built across from your beautiful homes? I also can't help but wonder if Wauseon really needs 2 more chiropractors. At least 4 are already in practice in Wauseon. Can 2 more make a successful living? I'm not here to defend the long-established practitioners, but to suggest there could be more to this development than either the zoning board, city council, or the public has been told. Why a 2-story Quonset hut? The 3,000 square foot second floor with no intended purpose. Maybe a coffee shop, maybe not. I'd like to see in writing, and I know that there are no guarantees in life, I'd like to see a guarantee from the developers that it is not their intention to use this property for anything other than what they said it would be used for. The balance of the property, 6 pickleball courts and a dog park, may or may not be developed sometime in the future. I'd like to see the city guaranteed it won't be used for further commercial development. The cost of creating these 2 tempting blue sky proposals do not make good business sense. Will owners pay to walk their dogs near the noisy railroad tracks? Will pickleball players want to pay to play pickleball next to these tracks? The city recently built a free-to-use pickleball court in Homecoming Park at a cost of about $150,000. By the way, that is a beautiful facility. Congratulations. It's a real asset to the community. It will require many years for private pickleball courts to pay for themselves, again, adjacent to noisy railroad tracks. Additionally, installing several hundred feet of chain link fence around the proposed dog park and courts will cost tens of thousands of dollars. A Quonset hut is a relatively inexpensive structure. That's why we see so many of them replacing barns on farms. Great place to park your tractors. If the developers can't afford a brick and mortar structure, where will they get the money to add pickleball courts, a dog park, parking lots, and fencing? In conclusion, promise to be short, no Quonset hut, please. No Quonset hut. In your enthusiasm to develop this property, don't rush to a decision to approve something that we may regret down the road. In November, Wauseon voters will be casting their ballots for city council and mayor. Do the right thing by these voters. And if you are interested, I put together a list somewhere that I can pass around of all the comments that were made on Facebook in the last couple of days. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you, Doug. Any
Thank you.
questions at all for Lance? All right. Next, we have Tyler Schwanz.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. My name is Tyler Schwanz, one of the developers, and my dad's here too, Dr. John Schwanz. We've had this conversation several times, so I'm not exactly sure what to reframe, but as you can see, we have the renderings up there, beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Although the bones of it are Quonset hut. What you can't see on this will be the inside of it. And as you see on the floor plans as far as the intended use, obviously the main use that we need it for is for a chiropractic practice. And if you're wondering how committed we are, we've actually already hired our 2 doctors to populate this area, 2 doctors that are fresh out of chiropractic school, that are in their 20s, that we expect to have a 30-year-long career, just like my father did. So we do believe that Wauseon could benefit from 2 more chiropractors. In my research of the area, what I also found is that, at least in the schools, the school system has something like 21% Spanish-speaking students. Both of the doctors that we've hired, Spanish is their first language. They're from Puerto Rico. And yes, they are bilingual, but that's just one element of we've really looked into the area quite a bit as far as being able to best serve your people. This process has been trying and has been surprisingly trying, but that being said, on the drive over here, my dad and I, we have a piece about it. We know that whichever direction that it does go, it will be the right one for the right reasons, and we're just thankful that you are all so committed to your community, that you want to see it do really well. That's all we want to. We really want to add to your community, to enhance what is already there. The fact that we are looking to rezone it in such a way that could, if we were to rezone it in this way, if anyone else, I should say, were to rezone it to a commercial reason, I have reason to believe that they would probably maximize the profitability of the entire property. You know, build a building that takes up the entire space, that maximizes it without too much concern for green space or for your traffic patterns. At previous meetings, we talked a lot about traffic patterns, and we discussed, should it enter on Marshall, should it enter on Beach, like the schools, should it enter off of Elm? And being that we do have a type of business that is appointment driven, we can spread out the traffic over an entire period of a day. So the main question to me is, if not us, what would be better than to have a single business that is not going to take up the entire space, that is actually intending to promote the entire the beauty and the green space that already exists there. To the questions about, you know, how to make a dog park profitable and pickleball parks profitable, and who would go there, and who would even come to our chiropractic office because we're over chiropractored. I suppose that's our risk to take on, and we believe so much so that we're willing to put our money where our mouth is and to bet on Wauseon first before we look anywhere else. And honestly, we've just fallen in love with the property, and we really would love to be able to build there. So thank you. That's my statement.
I have 2 questions for you. Do you have existing customers in this area?
We do. Yeah, quite a few. You've heard from one of them. I have another one that's going to be speaking after me. But yes, many of whom had football tonight and couldn't make it, or had clients, other business owners, and so on and so forth.
My second question, where will you go if this does not pass?
Where will we go?
Yes.
Probably to Napoleon.
Okay. Thank you. And third, I wanted you to know that I got a phone call from Troy Armstrong today, and he wanted me to know that he wanted to assure me that you are a man of integrity, and he has great confidence in that. And he told me that he has used you to speak to his to the schools, and so just wanted you to know that.
That's really kind of
I
him.
also got a call from Troy. He said that you do a lot of in-kind for the school, which is awesome. So it's not like you're trying to gouge money from the school or any of that type of stuff. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really nice of him. We even before we knew we were going to come out to Wauseon, I did come out to Wauseon to do in-services to the teachers and whatnot. So that's how I got to meet Troy. So that's very kind. Thank you for letting me know that.
Thank you, Karen.
I guess before I know I'm representing our entire thing, is there anything that you think I didn't touch, team?
No, I think you're good in it.
Okay, great. Then, yes, sir.
Why couldn't you have a similar building on Shoup Avenue, which is commercial now? There's plenty of spaces out there.
Yeah. For us, for not being a Wauseon native, the corner of Elm and Shoup seemed to be the corner of Main and Main to us. And then once we also learned that it was the old school location, people build schools in the center and the heart of where the town is. as far as what else could be built. We knew that this particular structure, being that it is built on a slab, we knew that whether the previous school was demolished, some people say it wasn't demolished properly, some people say it was. I don't know either way. But with placing the building where we have on the property, we have chosen that specifically to not have to involve that. So that was a part of the building choice too in the selection. I guess as far as why not the rest of Shoup, I don't know. We invited you all to check out our other location and where it is. It's very walkable to everyone in Waterville. That was something that we really would like for our practice in this area, is for a place to be walkable, bike rideable. And I know we've been talking about the other space, and let me know if I hit my time.
You're fine.
The other part of the space, we've been calling it a coffee shop. And yes, I have been in conversation with coffee shop owners here because I'm not a coffee shop owner. I have no interest in running a coffee shop. Think of it more like a shared workspace. Like in the world that we live in, many people, maybe people in this room, do a lot of work from home. If not a couple of days, maybe full time. There's an increased need for a shared workspace, a co-hatch, like a co-working space where there's good Wi-Fi, there's good coffee, there's no screaming kids. You can maybe rent a room that is soundproof so you can get on conference calls and Zoom calls, company retreats, whatever. So think of the other part of the space sort of like that we also want to have coffee provided. And guess what's really important about that is having it be walkable. So just to be able to walk up, bring your briefcase, bring your backpack, get your work done. So I guess that's the main answer, is the walkability of it as opposed to something else.
Well, a lot of people have contacted me, and their worry is, if we do it here, what's if there's a vacant lot somewhere else and people say, well, I'd like to have that lot and put in a drive-through, or what's to stop all these commercial spots from being spread throughout town? Plus, I don't see the walkability of that, to be honest with you. The people around there don't like it, they're not gonna come. And if a person needs chiropractic work, they're not gonna walk a half mile to get there. I'm sorry, that's just.
That seems like conjecture a little bit, but
Well, I've heard from a lot of people.
that's fine. That's your
Okay, Tyler.
priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Last on the list, we have Sue Morgan.
And I do not public speak. I'm much better with little people. So I'm going to say a few things and then read just what I wrote. First of all, I've been a resident of Wauseon for 30 years. So I've been in the area, and Tyler and his practice are people of high integrity. They have helped myself physically, my husband, my daughter, her entire family. Tyler actually even helped my grandson with FCA baseball. He donated something. I didn't write that down, so that's why that's not here. So this is what I wrote. I would like to say that I am in favor of Dr. Tyler coming to bringing his practice to Wauseon. Years before I became a patient, he spoke to the staff at Wauseon schools. I remember feeling his passion to help others with our wellness and our health choices. In return, we would be able to impact our students in a positive way. I know as he is continuing to speak at other schools. Tyler and his clinic involve the community where his current office is. They go out once a year and clean up 15 acres adjacent to his business. They have done this for 5 years. They also purchased and fed over 400 families with Thanksgiving meals for 7 years. Every year at Christmas, they partner with local churches to adopt families to buy gifts for those people. Tyler's heart is always to help people physically, emotionally, and bring joy while working through life's challenges. I hope this gives you a glimpse of what he could bring to our town. Thank you.
Okay, that's everybody. Now, we're going to move on to the rest of our meeting, and then we'll go into legislation at the time. So we're going to stick to the agenda. Okay, council? So we're going to move into department head reports. Phil.
Coming up on October, which is busy for the fire department, Fire Prevention Month. So we'll be in the schools and out and about the community for that all month. SOMA, the new dispatching software along with the Sheriff's Office and the Police Department, that's going well. And I've been working with Tom, the mayor, Jamie, and Dover and Clinton Township trustees on various issues that involve future EMS and fire.
Okay. Questions for
Hey,
Danny?
and I might have missed this, did you guys get that exhaust thing put in down there? How's that going?
So it's 60 to 90 days out on the exhaust for them to come in and start that project.
Okay.
It's a multi-phase project. They have to make some changes to the existing apparatus, and then there'll be the installation of the actual system into the building. And then last week, we ordered either late last week or the first of this week, well, late last week, we ordered the extractor, the washer as well.
Nice. Okay, so do you think that'll be done before the end of the year? Hopefully, maybe?
No.
No.
No, supply chain issues and
Right.
all that, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's 60 to 90 days out on the exhaust adapter for the trucks. They're, no bigger than this.
Okay.
So yeah.
Dang. I wanna see it when it's
Yeah.
all done.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video of the rehab of the fire truck? It's on their webpage too.
Oh, yeah.
That is a
802.
really good
Yep.
video to watch of what they did and how
Was that
they
808?
brought it up to.
802.
802.
To buy 802 today, it's about 1.2 million. We bought that truck in '99 for about 3.25, I believe. Is Kevin still here? I believe it was about 3.25 then, and we refurbed it for about 450,000 out the door.
Wow.
And the things that they did are pretty amazing. on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you get a chance, it's on the fire department Facebook page. They have the video.
Is it
and they
downstairs?
Worked on
I might just see it.
Yep.
it.
Anytime.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Kevin?
As Chief Kessler said, we're implementing our new dispatch and reporting system. Just to let the public know, there'll be no difference in our response times or anything like that, but maybe when it comes to reports and stuff like that, there may be a slight delay as we kind of learn through the new system and the bugs and that type of stuff that we are working out. Sometimes change can be hard. It's not always easy, but without change, I don't think you can always grow. And this is a big growth for our department. The interoperability with the sheriff's office, the fire department, if we can get more law enforcement agencies and fire departments on board in Fulton County, I think it would be a really awesome thing. And kind of, I like the direction where we're going. Yeah, there's gonna be a few bumps and different things like that, and some frustrations as we learn it, but I think it's gonna be really awesome. Other than that, we are still taking applications and doing interviews for our open lateral transfer position. Had an interview earlier today, and we're still working on that to get our staff back up to full-time on the police officer side.
Questions?
As a user of 2600, when I hit the mic, am I still gonna get dispatched is the question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, okay.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, all right.
And those are going in all the unit, or all the cars and stuff?
Yeah, they're actually, the new system is all web-based and cloud, so it actually helped us out with being able to connect faster than our current system does, since we now currently have to go through a VPN and connect to our server in the office. Instead, it'll be just in the cloud and internet-based.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. Keith?
I wasn't here last week. I was at a training, so I apologize for not being here at the council hall to bring you up to speed. Our bid documents have been approved and submitted to ODOT for the pedestrian hybrid beacon on Shoup Avenue. That should be going out to bid in January. I'm sorry, should be coming back in January, because we'll need to get that approved through council by February 1st to get on the construction docket for 2024. The monument in North Park has been finished, and if you take a look at it, I've been assured that the areas that may be a little bit different color will change with age. He's got it matched so that it will age out to the same as the rest of the monument, and I think he did an excellent job on that. But the striping is still planned. We had a little hiccup on getting scheduled on the striping from Griffin's Griffin Painting. That's for the Oak Street and Chestnut Street as well as Depot Street areas. They will get striped. And the parking lots will be striped this year. We're getting on their docket for that. And for those that, just a reminder that Jeff Newlove has retired. His last day was last Monday, and he is left us after 31 years of service. So he didn't want any.
I know.
He didn't want a party. He didn't want any fanfare or anything. So we agreed with him on that. So, but if you do see him, congratulate him on his retirement.
Thank you.
While you're talking about striking, I did have a resident tell me she was having some issues seeing the lines on a lot of the other streets that aren't maybe scheduled for striking, so I'm not sure if they need to be looked at to see if they're too faint at this point or
I will be bringing that to the Finance Committee on next year's budget to redo that.
Any early news about our unlimited trash drop-off? Was it?
Yes.
24, what are those, 20-yard dumpsters?
Yeah.
It's a lot of trash going out.
I filled one of those.
What I noticed is that the lines are not as long as they had been in the past. Having it annually does make a difference.
It makes a little different, and we also ran into a little bit of hiccup with people that are not residents of Wauseon wanting to utilize the trash. Just because you have a Wauseon address, if you don't live within the city limits, you are not eligible to use the drop-off.
Yeah, I didn't mind the ID. I mean, I was surprised by it. When I got out of the car, can I see some ID? I don't mind that. I think it's a good safeguard to try to serve the population that we're looking to serve, so, yeah.
So it's over with?
It is over with,
Yes.
yes. You missed it, sorry. I believe they picked up the last of the containers today.
I did get. They didn't take tires anyway. I got 900 of them there in Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah, I
What,
think to stay
what was I
there.
gonna ask you? Something that I forgot now. Oh, what's the city's policy on people that retire? Do we send them a plaque?
Do we send them a plaque?
For
Yes.
their service?
It depends on the department. I mean, the council, we have a certain agenda, but each department pretty much does their own thing. And if they want to be recognized, it's up to the individual. Sometimes they do it within just the department, or if they want to be recognized within the whole city, then we do have a budget for that,
I
that we
just thought after
utilize.
31 years, and there's other ones.
Well, he's gonna get a plaque whether he likes it or
Right.
not.
Right.
He just wouldn't come up here to accept it.
I mean, one, retired, quit,
Yeah.
went to the golf course.
Well, yeah, but it's so many years
Yeah,
after
if
they're
they
working here,
retire,
you
they
don't
get a
do each
plaque.
one.
If they go to a different agency.
Yeah, if they just leave and go to a different job.
I got a shovel, didn't I, Bob? Policy. I got a shovel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jamie?
So I provided you with our month-end reports for September, the income tax revenue report. We are up 35% from last year. It's kind of been the trend this year. And then I provided the month-end finance reports, budgetary reports for September 30th. According to our auditors, I need you guys to recognize that you received them. You need to say yay. Yes, I received it via email. I appreciate that. So Corinne can put it in the minutes.
I received mine
Oh, I-
email, is that what you need?
Yes.
We have to say
I
we
used to
received the
pass-
financial report.
I used
Yeah,
to
I
pass
mean-
out paper, so you, obviously you received it. Well, now that they're electronic, they just want some confirmation, so. You can just say that you received them, I appreciate it.
I received mine.
Thank you.
I think administratively, if we handle it similar to how we accept the minutes, somebody could make a motion that, just to acknowledge that we received the financial report, somebody could second it, and then we could go all in favor, say yes or no.
That sounds like a good idea. We approve it in the minutes, so they're approving something. How can you approve something you don't receive or see? It doesn't make any sense.
State auditor, I don't have to make
I guess.
Yeah.
They're not back there, are they?
They wanted a verbal or a response.
They wanna
I mean,
put 'em
yeah, because when I
live,
first started on council, they used to be delivered to our doorstep, so, I mean, times have changed. So,
Is that for the year?
yeah.
What's that?
Is that for the year?
No, that's
Every
just for
month.
September.
Just September.
So
Because
every,
it's a
every
big
month?
question.
Yep. And then they did mention that they're going to be finishing up in-house this week. So they're getting close to finishing the audit this year.
That's good.
Good.
I'd make a motion that, just to acknowledge that we received the financial reports for the month of September.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
There you go. For the month of September. We'll have to put that in our agenda. All right, Tom?
Not really much to report. I would point out that you have, council has before it tonight ordinance 2023-3, which is the ordinance that would deal with the rezoning issue. And we have it on emergency at the request of the applicants because of the cost involved in having to extend the time. They've already had an initial extension and apparently an additional extension, if it was not voted on by emergency tonight, would require them to go back to the seller and get an additional extension. And I'm just passing that on to council that that's the reason it's on emergency. And then so council will also be considering shortly the safety and codes recommendation on the golf cart restrictions. And if council were to adopt those, then the next meeting we would have for you an ordinance amending the relevant code section to include those. So tonight would just be a recommendation. Next week would be a actual legislation for amendment.
I do have a question about that. It was discussed that, Chief, you, for the application, and somebody has called in, the rules for the application, how far in advance will the people know, and council, what all of the mandates and rules for that will be so that they can make sure by that March 1st deadline that they are there? So.
The state already has out kind of a checklist of all things that needs to be checked off for them
Can you
to
make
issue
that
the title.
public?
I never can, but like I said,
These are the questions.
The state
that
has
are being
them,
asked.
I believe, through the BMV as well.
Right.
That has those checkbox already
Well, we-
out there. The only thing that we would be adding to it would be the seat belts
Okay.
requirement. Was the only thing, because it's not specifically on the utility vehicles that are currently legislated in the city, where golf cars being underspeed and slow speed vehicles. Those generally don't always come with seat belts, where all the utility
Right.
vehicles always come with the seat belts.
And some of the mandates that I think of, they want to be able to get them around before, so some of them, this is new, this, you
Right.
know. So I just think it would be better to, we be more.
And the way we were doing the legislation, they would not be even eligible to be on the road until March 1st.
Right, and that's what I'm
24
telling you.
anyway, so I mean, well, we'll.
They would like to get
I guess
them
we'll-
prepared so they
let's
can
kinda
come
wait
in
and
on March
see on what
2nd.
council votes.
Yeah.
You're right.
And see how that goes first before I necessarily started
Putting time into it.
putting formal packets and different things together. As I know it was kind of a split vote earlier, and I'm not sure, we haven't had a full meeting on the proposal of the restrictions as presented.
So I
here,
guess when they ask me that, I will just refer them to the state mandates on what the golf carts would have to be on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Another thing by way of public service announcement for the trails. Working with Scott Yoder from the auditor's office and creating a new map for the trails so that we can have that in the community. And also, we're gonna have an overlay which will identify where the current benches are, and with the idea of then taking a look at those and finding additional places where benches might be appropriate, and eventually making those available to the public for sponsorship or by way of donation. But anyway, we're gonna have sort of a bench program. It was sort of The impetus for this was a couple of new benches that were put in the park or the trails by an Eagle Scout, and these benches are really nice if you haven't been in the woods. And so I think we patterned the new benches after those benches as they come up online. There's no rush to change out any benches or whatever. But anyway, creating that program. And if you haven't had a chance to be in the woods lately, it's just a really nice place. Beautiful right now. You can sit down on one of those benches and just listen to nature talk to you. The walnuts dropping, the squirrels chirping, the deer running past you. You know, it's all
The
pastoral
naps taking
experience.
place.
Keep going, keep going.
Do they have any cross-country meets there this year?
There are no meets this year, but they are continuing. Both, I think Wauseon and I know Pettisville use it on a regular basis for training. I think parking has been an issue, and maybe that's something that Rotary needs to try to address or discuss with the city, a way to entice some meets there. Because it is just a beautiful venue. I mean, with the new grass, it's going to be growing outside there, the trails and the pickleball courts and the new play area. It really is a nice venue.
I have two comments on back to the golf carts, and that is, I was interested in learning liability issues, and the only thing that I find as far as insurance or any sort of mention is, on the one page it says, and proof of financial responsibility for such vehicle. Is that all that's going to be included in terms of, I mean, is that enough? And I guess, I don't know. I was concerned about the liability issues of it, for one.
What section is that?
Are you talking about the city's
only thing that I
liability?
see, I guess I would like to know if we're going to approve golf carts riding around, you know, what is the liability in terms of if someone hits them, if they cause damage?
Where do you see what you're talking
The
about?
only thing I
What?
see in terms of that is the part that says, it just says right here, and proof of financial responsibility for such vehicle. So I thought there was going to be more.
Is that in D?
Yes.
I think in a different section, Sarah, that
I don't know if I missed something.
we
I
haven't
just was trying
revised.
to-
There is a requirement of the same financial insurance that you have as a regular driver. So it would be the same kind of insurance. They would have to have the same, and proof of that.
Okay.
So it's nothing more, nothing less than you would have as a driver. And certainly, you know, the rules, the tort rules, similar tort rules would apply. If a golf cart driver causes an accident, he or she would be liable, and vice versa if someone else causes an accident.
Was the inspection requirements under 377.04, is that a copy and paste from somewhere?
37704.
Yeah,
The only thing that's changed are those.
this is the red markings?
The red markings,
But
yeah.
we copy and pasted that from somewhere? From the Ohio Revised Code, or?
The changes or the original?
No, the original 3704.
Oh,
37704.
well, that was a number of years ago that we did that.
Oh, this is out of our municipal book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the thing that you were talking about, that's been existing with all of the golf cart type of
Okay.
things that have already been on the roads.
I just found two subsection Ds, I was wondering,
I
What's
guess,
that?
two subsection lowercase Ds. A,
Oh
B,
my
C, D,
goodness,
D.
he's
Oh.
turning into you.
Thank you.
I was gonna throw the state of Ohio under the bus, but.
my only
I
other.
think, if I may, if that was in the original version, I believe council would have approved that previously.
Oh, boy. All right.
Although we would have drafted original.
And since you've been on longest.
I guess so.
Thank you. We'll have to make that
You must
change. I'm sorry, Sarah.
My only other request moving forward, I am not a lawyer and I don't understand what the penalties involve. So when the penalties are listed in terms of the misdemeanors, I would just like to understand, you don't have to tell me now, I just would like clarification on what those represent in terms of a penalty, other than the verbiage.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Yeah. All right. Okay, thank you. So after that, department head reports, we're going to move into our committee reports.
Talk to us,
Safety and
Brandon.
code.
All right, it's my turn.
Yeah, we
So-
gotta get
And
it.
I already did this, but.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank everybody for attending the 7 a.m. meeting. Really appreciate that. And so I knew it was going to be a long one, so thank you. Yeah, it was a great meeting. We talked about the regulations that were presented. Chief Chittenden and Tom, you guys did a great job revising these, and I think, you know, kind of, even though Chief Chittenden has verbally said he is not for it, but he said if it were to pass, this is probably the route that he would want to take. And so I appreciate your honesty, and then also still willing to work on this, Chief. Really appreciate that. And so we all agreed, the committee is me, Steve, and Scott, and we all agreed that these changes are good, and so then we made the recommendation to bring them to you guys and talk about them. And so I know that you guys have reviewed them and had questions, so I won't eat up more time going over them, but I really appreciate the fact that there was a petition that went around too, people in favor of the golf carts. Someone dropped these off to Corinne, and I think there's about 70 here, and then they said that there was more that they had, and these are in favor of the golf carts. And so that's cool that they went around and put the time and effort into seeing what the community thought and doing that. So I appreciate that as well. So we're making a recommendation to pass, or I guess to get it moved forward so we can move it into legislation for golf carts being legalized in Wauseon.
Questions? Questions, is that all right, Mayor? We have Pepper Brandon with
Oh, I
questions?
thought you
No
said
questions,
he
no
reviewed- he
Subject
reviewed
matter
all the
closed.
questions. Do you have a question? Shane?
Can we?
Yes,
Okay, all right. You know, golf carts go with golf courses. How do the golf carts get to the golf course?
So,
In depth.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I don't know exactly the routes because I don't have a golf cart, and so I've never driven one around Wauseon. I've never tried to take side roads. I've never tried to
We
do
discussed
any of that.
Dwight taking Leggett, which is 25, to Dwight, up to Douglas, thank you, and they would cross the
At
35 mile an hour into the golf course.
Wow.
They are not going to be able to go up 35 mile an hour to the golf course from Lawrence over. And that cannot be changed because that is a 35 mile an hour road leading into the out of town speed limit of 55. You can't go
You can't
from
lower
25.
that, yeah.
So that's the only route that we'll be able to do, which is going to be up to the golf course to try to
To
figure
accommodate
out.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to go by Steve's house.
Yes, he's going to sell lemonade, I think.
Thank
So,
you.
Okay?
Thank you,
Alrighty.
Mayor. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, you're new on these roads. You're going to have a quiz in a year.
That's right.
Okay, so we have a motion, a recommendation from Safety and Code. Movement?
Another question. Will the golf carts be required to have slow-moving vehicle signs in the back?
I don't think we put that on here, and I thought about that too, Shane.
Because the significance of that, Chief, is that if there's a slow-moving vehicle on the sign, correct me if I'm wrong, then a motorist could pass them on a double line.
Correct.
If they're going
If they're, but
less
they have to
than
go
half,
less than half of the posted speed, which is part of why I had recommended the 25 mile an hour and not the 35. Most golf carts, even the lower end, they'll say a top speed of 20, but that's more realistically 16, 17 miles an hour, where that could get into a little bit of even more of a gray area on the 35 mile an hour zone versus the 25 mile an hour zone. Being that they're all on 25 mile an hour zones, there shouldn't be as much of a need for passing and going through that way.
I'm just envisioning my lunch. I need to get home for lunch and get behind a golf cart.
Take your 35 mile an hour roads.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
And I thought about this. There's no way a golf cart can get to Chiefs unless you find a way through your subdivision, Mayor, right?
Yep.
Off the beaten path.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be easy enforcement.
Yeah.
If we see a golf cart, we'd wait for them to come out of Chiefs and get them.
Shoup Avenue would
First
definitely-
misdemeanor.
definitely be a no tolerance road for sure, because that just is not good.
Yeah, there's really no way for them to get to Walmart.
No.
No, yeah. No, and we really wanted to focus on a soft launch with this, because there's a lot of reluctancy to it. And so we're like, okay, well, let's go soft, stick it just on 25 and under, and see what happens, and then kind of revisit in a year. But
The meeting minutes didn't talk about Assistant Chief Hartsock at all. Did he have any comments during your meeting? Because he comes from the village of Delta where they had golf carts.
yeah.
Did he share any thoughts at all during your meeting?
Yeah, so he talked about, pretty much echoed what Chief Chittenden said, where he's not for it, but he comes from Delta,
Mhm.
and it still passed in Delta, even though he was not in favor of it. And he looked at this, and I think, was he part of your team on making these?
We went over it together, yeah.
Yeah, so he was in favor, where it's like, if it were to pass, this is how we would want to enforce it.
But he didn't share any horror stories of golf carts
There was
being on the
No.
street?
No, there was
There was
no.
not.
He said, nope, everyone's been really respectful, nope, there's been no accidents.
And you're not seeing them on, the 35 mile an hour down to 25 mile an hour in the main street. They're not allowed to be there, and you're not seeing them now.
Correct.
So,
And Delta's a little different than Wauseon in that 20A is basically
The main-
their
Yeah.
main
Drag.
drag of everything.
Yeah.
And they're only allowed to cross that intersection, where Wauseon, part of the reason why I was against it was just the way our city is shaped, in that, out of all the arguments for golf carts, it was not, well, I can't afford to get to work, or I can't, afford to find a way to get to the grocery store or anything like that. It's there was been no talk of that. It seems more of it's just, well, I just want to go to the neighbor's house and have fun, or I just want to drive to the golf course, and it doesn't. It's not like a true purpose to me of like I said, getting to work, not being able to afford a car, anything like that. It's more of a leisurely, and I don't know, it just kind of gives us like a campground or a small town feel, where Wauseon's not as little as these surrounding areas. That's kind of why I'm against it, but
Yeah, it's more of maybe a want than a need.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And in Delta, there's a portion of Airport Highway that is 25.
Yeah.
So if everybody's following the law, there's 25 mile per hour traffic that golf carts are crossing in front of rather than 35, so, yeah. Thank you, I'm all out.
okay, third time, we have a recommendation from Safety and Code. Can we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Recommendation that the codified ordinance be amended to make the driving of golf carts legal in the city of Wauseon, subject to certain specified restrictions, moved by Councilor Schneider and seconded by Council President Steers. Any discussion?
I still maintain that I feel like the police force has better things to do than, manage golf carts, but I see that there is a population that would really like to drive them.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Tiarena?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Heising?
Yes.
Councilor Chamberlain?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
And you were talking about presents for retired people. I'm done at the end of the year. And I don't own a golf cart.
I think you're gonna get a plaque.
That's good. All right, moving on the agenda. First reading of legislation, we have nothing. The second reading of legislation is the ordinance 2023-3, an ordinance amending codified ordinance chapter 1117-. Where's the dash?
Yeah.
The step, we don't have the final number on that, 1117-. We need that.
No, it's chapter one, it's the chapter.
Okay,
And
chapter
then
1117-.
there's no separate
There
number
is
after that.
none? Okay. So we don't need the dash.
It's just a typo.
Well, it's
It's
separating
the chapter, yeah, I
It's
get it.
separating the records.
Okay. Chapter 1117, Establishment of Districts and Maps, and amending the official zoning map and declaring this an emergency.
I have a question that I have been curious about, and I asked a couple people today, no one had the answer. I had a long conversation the other day with Bill Drummer, and he was on the school board when the property changed hands and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So I had a conversation with him about it at that time, and he said that there were multiple people interested in the property and nothing came to fruition. It was the post office, the library, the First Christian Church. So it sat empty all this time. Why is it zoned residential right now? Because there has never been a residence on that property, correct?
It went back to residential.
Okay.
The zoning planning commission allowed it to the person who purchased that property, the one that is trying to sell now. It went back, it was asked to go back to residential.
Sarah, a school can be placed in a residential zoning district.
Okay.
And that's what it was originally zoned R3 back, I don't know, back when they
But
first did the
I
zone.
think when he wanted to, when he purchased it, it was definitely put back to the residential. I didn't think it was.
I don't think the zoning changed.
I don't think the zoning ever changed, Mayor. I think it's always been R3. It's
Okay,
just
I'm sorry
because
on that.
It's a school, it was a school, so the school was there before before we even had zoning.
So the complex that the schools are on now are zoned as
They're zoned, but
residential?
I couldn't tell you exactly what they're zoned right now, but
I didn't-
that school was there before.
Yeah,
we had
that
zoning.
is interesting to
I
hear, but
just-
it is residential.
Maintain that there's never been a residential property on there, so I just wanted to.
I don't know what was prior to the school being built either. I mean, we don't know if we keep going back, and the zoning laws were not even in place.
There are other uses besides school and
Right.
and houses that can be in a residential area.
R1, R2,
Including a
R3.
school for R3, yeah.
I have a question too, real quick. So right across the tracks, there's the U-Lock storage units. Is that a commercial property or is that residential?
That has been industrial.
Industrial?
Yeah, because it used to have Hill.
Okay.
It was actually Pet Mill.
Pet Milk,
Pet Mill.
yeah. It takes us
Originally.
old people
So,
back, but
You have
yes.
to be really old to remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I do too. So do you.
I remember as a kid, you had to go up and over the railroad track, not under it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does anybody else know?
I remember that.
okay.
Sandy? You don't want to say that? You don't remember?
Well, when I moved here, they had already put the overpass in, so I don't
It was an underpass?
I was in grade school, I was young when they built it.
Very young, right, Mayor? Very young.
Oh, yeah. I went to grade school when I was 1, but yes. Okay, yes. So
If you
that's your
do-
answer.
Okay,
I was
so-
curious, and I did some research on my own map, and if you do a 3-block radius all the way around, there are lots of businesses. So there's a dentist office. There are a lot of businesses right there.
I'm
so
trying
I guess
to see
it
which
didn't
way this should
feel
go.
like this is revolutionary, I guess. And I understand, everyone's voice matters, but that was just something that I was curious in looking at. There are businesses that exist in that area.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? The motion is to declare an emergency. Did you?
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
Motion to place ordinance 2023-3 an emergency reading, moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Counselor Heising. Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I received communication, folks, from both sides of this topic, in favor of and against. And one of the common themes in the communication that I received against the rezoning was, whether it be rhetorical or not, was the question, would you live across from it? And I've given that a lot of thought, and 100% I would live across from that. 100%. I would have no problem with that. And I also think a person that has used chiropractic services in the past, we're able to walk. We are able to walk. So people walking to that is reasonable to have happen. And I think of other commercial properties that are within residential districts, and I think of It used to be Bill Frank's chiropractic business. I think it's now Wheeler. But it's successful. But then I think of the Kentucky Fried Chicken building that sits there empty. That unsuccessful.
Was successful for many years.
I know, but there it sits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
So it can cut both ways, and I'm betting on Rebel that they're going to do it right. So.
Change can be scary, but change can also be brave, and I feel like this is a brave move.
And I too was asked that rhetorical question of, how would you feel? Or, I don't know, you don't live on Elm Street. It's like I live right by the fire station, police station, Circle K. So I have in my bushes tons of Polar Pop cups and everything else. And it's like, I love where I live because it's like a part of the city and, or the town or the village or whatever you want to call us. But I love being where I'm at, and I love seeing Wauseon grow and thrive. And I think that this would help us to do that. And I don't want to stifle new business from coming in and helping us grow. And I talked to a lot of people that were for it and against it, and how could you put this thing here? And a lot of people I've talked to are like, oh, that's hideous, I don't like it. And it's like, I personally love that. I like the design.
You're not going to live
I live across, from a lot of things in the area, and so I think it would be cool. And
is that the design is the picture is different than what we saw?
Yes, it is.
Is the color more accurate now? I don't know if anybody in the audience.
If I can add, that was brought back to the city after the hearing. As you, Shane, I got all the letters council got. I spoke with the people. I wasn't here at the hearing, and I wanted to hear what the people had to say that live in that area. And I also asked to talk to Rebel and just kind of get their idea of what they felt, how that meeting went, where their perspective is at. And they did bring this forward. That's why it's up for them to see it first time. Everybody got to see that. That is more or less what they are envisioning this to look like. But I agree, change is very scary. I am huge in trying to move this city forward with business, positive business. And the one thing that is probably sitting in this seat, the worst thing that you have to bring forward is the fact that when you're divided. And I talked to Rebel about that. They're coming from a village right now that had a huge division in the amphitheater. And that is costly. So I guess I look at both ways. We do have some amazing places for commercial. We do. And we are growing. I just want council, the democracy of being able to come in and hear these people speak and really understand what their concerns are, and to know that council, every one of you know, you want to do what's best for this health, the safety and welfare of this community. Not now, but up the road for your kids. So this is going to be your vote, and it's a hard one. It's a hard one because we want to do what's right, but we can't predict the future.
Right.
And we also know these people take huge pride in their homes. Some of them, that's all they have. So we need to listen to both sides. And that is what I did, just because I wasn't here. I wasn't here to hear everybody else out here. So I want council to know that, I know this is a hard vote for you guys. So.
Okay, since I made the motion, I would like to explain to the ladies and gentlemen out there. So today I did make a phone call to a gentleman that lives in your neighborhood that I respect highly, and he's lived there for over 30 years as an official and everything else. I asked him his thoughts and opinion, the same as I've asked you people your opinion, which I believe 100%. And he said he doesn't have a problem with it. And in the military, he slept in something like that, and so did I in Guam. However, he said we cannot build homes from the 20s, 30s, or 40s Because nobody builds homes like Sandy you live in and others.
That's why we want to keep it that way.
But nobody builds homes like, so where are we gonna get a contractor? Hang on, let me talk. Where are we gonna get a contractor to build homes like you people live in? There is none. Nobody's gonna build homes from the 20s, 30s, or 40s. They're gonna be new construction, new design. It's never gonna look the same as you ladies and gentlemen live
That's why
in.
we take care of them, so we don't lose it.
But nobody's gonna build them. And he don't have a problem with it, and he talked to other neighbors of your neighborhood, and they don't have a problem with it either. I believe in growth, and if we don't grow, and you guys said yourself, nobody, 13 years ago, we tore the school down. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the dirt, nobody wants to build on it, no one's came forward in 13 years. And I don't know if anybody here in the council chambers can raise their hand and say, oh, I would like to build a complex on it, because nobody's been there for 13 years. This is the first that anyone wants to do something in this area. So, that being said, I did check into it.
Okay,
Go ahead.
let's move forward.
Well, I'd like to add, earlier this year, we had somebody complain to the police department that they moved in at South Park area and they complained about the noise. Now, to me, that's totally different. The park was there first. When you move in, you know what's there. Now, the problem is, the people were there first, and then we're gonna put commercial opposite them. I kinda liken it to what's happened across the street here. This used to be a school. The homes across the street were some of the most beautiful in Wauseon. When they had the explosion, the school blew up, this became police department, fire department. Those homes pretty much deteriorated. Nobody wanted to live there. And it's hard to keep them up. I can understand these people's concerns of, hey, it's never been commercial. What if I want to move? Is anybody going to buy it? Now, there may be some people buy it. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. It's just my personal feeling that it's been sitting empty this long. They probably lowered the price like crazy to get rid of it, and that's why it's being bought. Somebody might buy it and put some homes on it. I don't know. I'd rather see it sit empty than to put this in with more commercial available around town. That's my personal opinion. But I'm an old guy.
We all see progress differently. We all see it in our own vision as they're seeing it. So that's why there's 6 of you. Okay, let's move forward.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
No.
Council President Steers?
No.
4 yeas, 2 nays, motion does not pass an emergency.
So with not having passed on emergency, council can still consider it on a present first reading. Just-
Second reading.
Or on a second reading.
It is going on to second reading.
So
Okay.
that vote was just to put it on emergency.
Mhm.
Is the same threshold needed for suspension of rules?
Well,
No, I think you can suspend the rules, have a majority vote.
but that's not on here as an agenda. Can we do that, to change it from emergency to suspension?
I think council can vote on it as a first, or as a second read, which is as the agenda stands now, but I think if council's motion was to approve it on a second read and suspend the rules, I think it can do that.
The suspend the rules is, it's
It's
active in 30 days.
It's active in 30 days.
So, yeah, it'd be 30 days after third reading, so it would be a little shorter.
30 days after today, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
under suspension.
Yes.
Mhm. Would council like to move this under a suspension?
Have a second reading and do it by suspension would be the motion. If
We would have to-
council's inclined to do that. Otherwise, it would be just to move it
Well-
on a second read.
Let's just take the vote instead of discuss if we want to do that or not. Take the vote whether we want to make it under a suspension. It's brought forward by Shane. We don't need to approve that, so.
It's up to council if they want to so move.
Mhm.
I'd make a motion to place ordinance 2023-3 under suspension.
Right.
my motion.
Do I need a second?
We need a second.
Oh, I'll second that.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
No,
Council President Steers?
No.
4 yeas, 2 nays, motion carries.
So we need a final, we don't get a final on the suspension, or we do?
Well, to my understanding, it was just to have it heard on suspension, so it would be a second read now. To have a motion for a second read if that's what council wants to do.
But they just passed it on suspension, which means it would be active in 30 days.
Was it council's intention to pass it on second read?
Under
on
suspension.
Under
Okay,
suspension, that's what
okay.
I was saying.
Okay.
I think, so we don't need a final on
We
that.
just
No,
did
that's
that.
correct. So under the charter, a majority vote is sufficient to amend the zoning ordinance, given that that's what was planning commission's recommendation. So it will have passed and be effective in 30 days.
Thank you.
Okay. We have nothing under third reading. We need to move forward under new business. We need a motion to accept the local government funds.
I'd make a motion to accept the local government funds.
Second.
Motion to accept local government funds moved by Counselor Chamberlain and seconded by Counselor Heising. Any discussion? Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
yes.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
I have nothing under new business. Anybody else?
Old business.
Anything under old business? Okay, let's get a motion to approve the bills, please.
I'll make that motion.
I got a second.
Motion to approve and pay the bills as presented moved by Counselor Schneider and seconded by Counselor Heising. Any discussion? Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, need a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Motion to adjourn moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Counselor Tiarena. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.